Welcome back to episode 15 of the Attitude Makeover Show. My guest today is the remarkably unique Mr. Anis KM. I've known him years ago as a senior software engineer and my peer when we both worked at HP. But since then, he has gone on to become the head of technology and digital transformation at the much loved household brand name that we're all very familiar with, ID Fresh Foods. Anis is an unconventional thinker with a special love for really understanding and identifying what customers want and orchestrating creative and out-of-box solutions and processes to serve them. In this conversation, he discusses the role of data, the role of analytics, software technology skills, and innovation in a very challenging environment of perishable goods in India. Placing a great emphasis on the love and concern of being a homemaker in every customer, he is a strong advocate of business that arises not just from the brains, but also from the heart. If you're the kind of person that loves passionate entrepreneurship and well thought out solutions, then get ready to have your eyes really opened and your brains probed. I hope you enjoy the show. Hi Anis, good morning.
Morning, Sanjina.
Thank you so much for making it all the way from Whitefield through your busy schedule and your management course that you're going through. I really appreciate you giving this time.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The pleasure is really mine.
It's all mine, man. So I think the first thing that really struck for me when I thought I should really have you in my show is the journey you've gone through from a UX designer, developer, to a CTO and now head of technology as well as digital transformation for ID Foods. That's quite a remarkable journey. And I wanted to dwell deeper into what it means to really go on a technology career path, because Attitude Makeover is all about centered around careers. And so I really wanted to have this conversation to get into the deeper part of technology that triggers transformation. So we'll start off with ID Foods is not a normal FMCG. It's not just a food company. It is also a logistics company. It's also a manufacturing company. What are some key aspects of a customer and the logistics and the partnerships that go into really making ID successful to what it is today?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I'm sure that a lot of people have the same question with that. Yes, ID, if you really see the products of ID, it has come from common sense. The identifying those what products are required for the people. Like it all had a story behind it. Like our CEO, it's PC Mustafa. He was a techie guy who was working in different top-notch MNCs. And his some incidents, like he was all alone. He wanted to have some good, healthy breakfast. And when he went around, he saw that a lot of people on the street selling the dosa and all, which is one of the best breakfasts that anybody can eat. So he thought, he wanted to have it, but he was confused about the hygiene factor in it, the way they were preparing and all. And he couldn't make this batter himself at home because it is cumbersome. Yeah. So he found that, and he searched for this product. It was not available anywhere. And the only thing what he could find is that pouches with rubber bands on it. And that too had even because sometimes it will be non-veg batter that you get, like cockroaches and all, will be there in it because of the hygiene factor. So he thought that if he get into this kind of business, it will be very helpful for the people like him, where he was in that previous incident. Then he got connected with his cousins, four of them, and he started this journey. So it was just a very small business. He was not thinking of such a huge business at that time. And it was like a 50 square feet building wherein they were having that conventional grinder. And so it took almost 1 year of R&D for him to get the first business. Or first, he had to be convinced about the quality, the taste, everything has to meet.
Consistency.
And consistency. And he was very much behind the fact that none of his product has to be with chemicals. It has to be preservative free. That is one of his main ethical point that he had brought in the business, and till now he's following that in every aspect of it. So it took almost a year for him to get into the business, and once he took the charge of CEO, there was no stopping for it. It just expanded like anything. And why I told that is, see, getting a batter is not a big technology related stuff. But if you have to grow to the level it is right now, there is a lot of technology that is required for such kind of network, creation of network or delivery of the product. And you rightly mentioned ID is not just a manufacturing company. We have our own distribution network.
Correct.
And all these, like say, around 30,000 plus. Daily it is increasing. It was 30,000 plus a couple of months back. I'm not sure about the exact number now. But all these outlets or the shops or Kirana shops or modern trade shops or e-commerce, we are delivering by ourselves. And this is a fresh product without preservatives, which means it has got very less shelf life. Right? So it has got 4 days, 5 days shelf life. And if the Kirana, sometimes what this Kirana people do is they switch off the ACs or refrigerator in the nights, which makes it is edible, but it will blot out. So we have to return it back as well. So that quantity also should be available with the person who is going to sell it. And our kind of business is totally different from any of the FMCG businesses. Like, see, normally in FMCG business, how it works is one person, a marketing person, he will go first and go and take the orders. They'll ask the Kirana shop or the modern trade how much you need. He'll take that order, go back, and then do the delivery. It is very easy because you get the quantity that is required to manufacture and send it way ahead. Our business is not like that. Ours is fresh. At night, our product will get manufactured. It will be packaged, and the next day morning it has to go and get delivered fresh. Okay. Now, when you manufacture like that, you don't know how much of quantity will be really required for those outlets. We are not taking the order. The person carries all this based on some analytics. We do a lot of predictive analytics. They will be knowing like how much of quantity will it be requiring in his route, the outlets in his route, and that quantity is manufactured in the previous day. And this quantity he carries and go to each Kirana shop, go and see how much they are having and add to it to make it the suggestive quantity that our application is. They carry an application, Android app with them, and whatever is predicted in that, based on that, he replaces the quantity. And then and there, we create the e-invoicing by connecting to the GST side and provide it there.
So it's also automated in terms of the invoicing and the billing part of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then and there, we have to provide the invoice. And the whole process, like, see, from there onwards, like handling, we get a goods receipt note, handling it, and we have an ERP in place. All these integrations are done. And it makes it easy for the teams, like various functions, like finance team or sales team, to get the data. We also have a data warehousing, wherein we pull the data from all of these applications. There are different applications being used. All of these applications we pull in, we create a dashboard using data analytics and provide it to all the leaders so that they can do effective decision making.
I think what you also bring out, and I am a strong believer in it, is you don't build technology just for the sake of using technology, but to really understand your customer and your journey. And then technology then sort of are interlocks at each points to show, is the journey smooth? How can I scale it? How can I transform it? And that's where you use technology. And I think what you're talking about is whether it's the apps or the backend ERP solution or the logistics part or the predictiveness in demand supply is these touch points that we just talked about in the journey map. Have I got that?
Right? Yes, you have got it right. So the perspective, like, see, initially when we were in that core software companies, the way we take technologies, we always tend to learn the latest of the technologies and somehow try to
Fit it in.
fit it into the product,
Correct.
which is not the right thing. You should be knowing all the new technologies, latest technologies, because when we need that technology, we should be able to know that, okay, this technology is available, we can adopt it. But it should not be the other way. So we usually go with, as you rightly mentioned, based on the requirement, what technology fit in properly, we take those technology and go forward.
I want to start off with really breaking down the business canvas, if you're okay with that. Who is a customer for ID? It's not like I'm one of the customer. I love the parotas with pork and beef curry, and it's a big one for me. I think in our house everybody loves it. But I'm one of the customers, but I'm not the only customer. It's your Kirana stores. There are different customer segments you've got. Help me understand first with who are customers for ID.
See, when you talk about customers, we can see it in terms of business. See, business, the customer, if you see it in terms of business, we might be directly giving to the Kirana stores. And from there, people like you or even I, before joining the ID, I was almost every week we'll be buying the ID products. So, actually speaking, we should know the pulse of the people who is actually consuming it. That is our end customer. And their satisfaction, giving them the right product, the quality product, without any chemicals and preservatives, that is our motto. So we always work towards it. And we have got a very strong marketing team who ensures that that customer's pulse is received to the company, and we provide those kind of products which actually satisfy them.
So your end customer is the customer for ID, and thereby then that means you know the pain points. And so the pain points that I can see is it's not just this traveler, like the case of Mustafa's use case that you just talked about. It's also people like me who are wives and single parents or whoever. It just made life easier. But what you also addressed is you're not giving packaged food, you're giving the joy of making something to the customer, right? So essentially that clarity of where you will function for this customer segment is where it all started, or you discovered that?
See, that's an interesting question. See, if you really see our product categories, we don't give a ready-to-eat or consume it as is kind of products. What we give is a product which is very easy for the homemaker to make. Wherein we are giving a product with love, and the homemaker adds her or his love in it by the finishing it, that last touching over it, and provide it to they themselves consume or their family.
True.
So our products are mainly of that category. So that love of the homemaker is also part of that food. So all our product, if you see idli or even parathas, it is not fully cooked.
Correct.
You have to do a cooking.
Correct.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, of course. So we understood the customer segment. We've now gone into really understanding what are the pain points and thereby what is your USP in this. But a major part of, and I'm trying to put a journey map of ID maps, ID food. So then we can go into the technology part of it. A major part of the success story is these partnerships that you've got, whether it is the distribution hubs, the centers that you've got in Bangalore, I think Chennai as well.
Yeah,
Pune.
we have it in Bangalore is the main factory. We have a big factory here, but we have also factories across India.
Right?
Yeah. So our major hubs are like Chennai, Hyderabad. In Telangana we have multiple, and Mumbai. And we are there in Delhi, Kolkata. This is within India. And with Middle East or a major export, most of the things happen from Dubai. We have a big factory in Dubai as well, which can cater all the GCC.
So these are your manufacturing plants, or these are your distribution centers?
It's the manufacturing plant, and we have like Telangana and all. It is a distribution hub.
Okay.
Even Delhi and Kolkata, it is a distribution hub.
Okay. And then you have the partnerships with these stores, the Kirana stores. And I really think nowadays the buzzword is how Kirana stores are going to be disrupted by Reliance. And so I really think there's a big future from that perspective for ID Foods. But not going into that, but more into one of the key partnerships thereby then is these stores. Because they have the customer base that is your final customer. And so from a technology front, you need to understand how that is performing. Are they of quality?
Exactly. Yes.
All of that.
Yes.
Have I got that right?
Yes, of course. And out of that 30,000 plus customers, what we told, if you really see how much will be the modern trades like Reliance and all, in numbers, there might be less, but majority is the Kirana stores. And we have to cater their requirement, each of their requirement. Like, see, we know how much of each quantity will be required for any of the Kirana stores in any of the lane of any place where we service. You got it? So each Kirana store, whatever may be their quantity they are selling, is very important for us. And their well-being is very important for us.
What it also then means is the challenges they have, because India is not so progressive when it comes to perishable foods. And you're in a very niche space there again. More than 3 days and your product is a bad,
Correct.
dead product, right? So it also means understanding their pain points and thereby then streamlining. You might have 30,000, 60,000 Kirana stores, but not all can be your customers. It is that niche which have the right refrigeration, the right abilities to actually cater to a base like your customer base.
Okay.
So is that right, or how do you go about?
I'll tell you. I mean, I'll just elaborate a little bit what I told before. See, we know, like, not all Kirana stores can have the quantity of items the same. So wherever you said there is, there might be Kirana stores where they not have refrigerator. We have products for those Kirana stores like filter coffee, and we have introduced again a new segment. Bread is not a new segment, but a bread without any preservatives and any added chemicals. It is a new concept.
I can make bread at home with ID Foods?
We have
Ready-made bread.
Oh.
Yes. ID, we have recently introduced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Idiyappam also you should start.
Idiyappam is there in Dubai.
Oh.
But here, we didn't get that much of requirement from the people. See, when it has to be, it is a business, right? It has
You
to
have to
be,
cater to scale.
feasible as well. The requirement, if it is more, surely we'll get into that as well. So what I was trying to say is, like, if it is a Kirana store and they have a demand of one batter, only one single batter packet a day, we'll provide them that one single batter packet.
Got it.
You got it, right? We know. And see, even the CEO will be knowing, like, which Kirana store in which place takes only one batter, because we provide the dashboard for
Data.
them. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you have mapped the Kirana stores and the sort of identified what requirements of the store that they have caters to some of the quality requirements or requirements that you have to cater to your end customer. And that data is also available to review. So that way, when you're introducing a new product, you exactly know, like, which Kirana I need to be targeting as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because what I also know is in the South, for my audience who are listening, in the South, the Kiranas are of different types. It's mostly our Malayali community who've run it. And there's a bakery which is run by a different type. And then there's groceries. Then there is our, pulses and others. So they're all different. And thereby the store requirements are different.
You're right.
What you're saying is you have the visibility in the back end of what are the capabilities each of these kind of stores have, and visible in terms of thereby when you launch a new product, where to reach.
Absolutely. You're right.
Very interesting. Okay, so we've covered the customer, we've covered the pain points, then we've covered the value prop ID Foods provide. We've identified the partnerships. Now let's go into a deeper thing of your technology itself. So normal technology would have your demand generation, your acquisition, then your ERP or your CRM to buy, and then your supply chain management and your service. Have me understand what at the Uber level, what is the ID Foods backend technology like? Considering you have touch points at different points, like what we just covered, I'm thinking it's integrated and also sort of unified in some ways from a data set perspective.
Correct,
It's
yes.
not siloed because this is a cloud
Yeah, exactly.
company.
Yes.
So help me understand, what is that architecture? What does that end-to-end from a technology perspective look
Okay.
like?
See, I'll go from like a dashboard to back to other applications.
Beautiful.
Because that is the main part, like wherein you are getting all the data unified into a single point. We have a data warehousing wherein we have integrated with all the applications that we use, including ERP. ERP is again, it has got like, we use it for all the like production, finance, sales, all the different functions use the ERP as such. But we extract the data because from ERP giving the dashboard the way this like leadership team wants, it will be slightly challenging. So we use the latest technologies, which is more helpful for building up the reports and doing data analytics. For that, we pulled in all the data from each applications. See, whenever we acquire an application, see, we don't build all the application in-house. We have partners who build it for us. So all the first thing, see, from that moment onwards, like when we give the requirement, it's the first of the requirement is we should be able to pull in all the required data using APIs. So that we can have this data warehousing wherein we have all the data pulled in. You got it? And in-house team actually do the data analytics and provide the useful information in terms of dashboards to all the leadership team. So even not just the leadership team, even the territory managers, that means like the sales
sellers.
sales people, they'll be having a manager. So they also will be using this data for coming up with their plans and incentive systems and everything for the salesman.
So in the back end, when you talk about this APIs giving this data, what all systems do you take? Because in your business, it is zero inventory. That's
we
the
are getting
ideal.
to most of the key products in big cities. It is almost like zero
Right?
inventory.
So there's zero inventory. You are in order to facilitate that, that means you need to have a good grab of demand versus supply.
Correct.
And that means it then needs to be integrated back into your factories and your logistics and your sellers.
Yep.
Right?
And buyers.
And your buyers.
Raw
Buyers
material,
as well.
RM, raw material procurement.
Of course. Okay. So like your pulses and all of that. Right?
And it is very specific thing that we buy. We cannot go to market and buy it from anywhere. The quality specification, we have a good quality team in place. So the quality specification, based on that, each item, let it be rice or pulses, I mean anything, that has got a specific brand from a specific location. There are a lot of attributes to each of those items. So we have to procure the right quantity. Like, like the pandemic, the transportation was blocked. We had to be having enough quantity and the right quantity in place to do the manufacturing. So all those things, it is based on the MRP. It is called material requirements planning in place, which is provided by the ERP system. And the sales data also come in, like you mentioned, like sales data will give you, that is used for the prediction, not only for the suggested quantity in each outlet. It gives you the prediction for the next day's sales, wherein you identify how much you have to manufacture, how much quantity you have to manufacture. From there, you come up like how much of the raw materials are required, labors are required, how much like the factory, how much time it has to run.
True.
And it is very dynamic. And as I told you before, like, so this is a fresh product. We cannot manufacture it a month ahead, a week ahead. It is the previous day that, or the same day you are manufacturing and providing. So all this is very much important in our business.
So your touch points thereby is across. And so when you pull this data and provide the dashboard, is not just a visualization of just sales, it's an
Yeah.
integrated view
Yes.
of the raw materials all the way to consumption.
Correct. And it doesn't stop there. Even the customer, if there is a customer complaint or any feedback from the customers, that's also brought into the dashboards.
So you have both unstructured and structured data.
Exactly. Structured and unstructured data is there.
Got it. And okay, so if this is the foundation and you're scaling into different cities and different countries as well, while the business side of it is a different ballgame and it's a larger ballgame, it's not easy to do that replication from a technology perspective as well. So when you're building this, and let's say tomorrow you're scaling into Ahmedabad. I heard you guys are trying to open in Ahmedabad,
started,
right?
yeah.
So let's assume you're opening it. From a technology perspective, what are things that you start building or putting together to enable a particular new region or a new territory?
See, when this foundation is built correctly, the architecture is perfect. See, I can bring it in like a technology term, like creating an instance of it is not a big deal.
You can replicate it very fast.
Replicate it,
Yes.
yeah. Only thing is that your product should be able to scale to that requirement. When you add more users, more Kirana stores, your product should not crash. So again, we are not having in-house servers. We are on cloud. Everywhere possible, we are using cloud as mainly it is as service, solution as service. So to create an instance is not a big deal. We can just scale up, scale down as per the requirement. So it's not a big problem at all for us to scale up.
Taking a quick break from our conversation today, I wanted to quickly talk about our collaboration partner, Hubhopper. This podcast was created on Hubhopper Studio. If you wish to start your own podcast for free, please visit www.hubhopperstudio.com. Hubhopper is India's leading podcast creation platform. Start your podcast with Hubhopper Studio and get your voice heard across platforms like Spotify, Gaana, Google Podcasts, Wink Music, and many more. Click on the link in the episode description or visit hubhopperstudio.com. Thank you, Hubhopper, for the collaboration. And now we go back to our conversation. So it's from a technology perspective, when you started defining or when the architecture was designed, it was designed in such a way, the scale, that potentially could happen on a regular basis. I don't know if when we were working in HP, I don't know if you were there then. We were trying to scale to 23 countries with our managed print services solution. And I remember the roadmap looked like some 3 years to scale after you launched in the US. But here you're talking about, it's that fast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
technology, see, that was when in HP it might be like
some 10 years back,
10 years
right?
back,
Yeah.
technology is
That's
advanced.
advanced.
Though, see, at that time also we had all these like home hosted services and all, but it was not to this extent it was available, right?
True. So, Anish, one of the questions I had as a follow-up to this is, as a team, how big is first of all, the technology team?
See, I mentioned we do most of our
Buy it.
outsourced, not buy it. We cannot.
Oh, you don't buy it.
We can't get our requirement. I mentioned, right? See, our way of working is not like any other FMCG business. Ours is called like a van sales model, wherein it is of fresh food. So
Tell me a little bit about van.
Van sales. Okay, so in normal, I mentioned, right? In FMCG business, how it happens is you go and take the order first, and then there will be a week gap or something. After that, you go and deliver the product. Right? In van sales, what it happens is you don't do that order taking. You go to the outlet and your sale happens there. Everything related to sale for that outlet for that day happens when the salesman reaches to that outlet. So there he goes, he'll be carrying sufficient quantity based on the analytics that we have done, that this much quantity will be required for the outlets in your beat. It is called a beat. The route is called
The
a
route.
beat. Yeah, a route is called a beat. So in that, how many Kirana stores are there, or how many shops are there, how much product will be required, that is already provided by analytics. So he carries it and he goes to each of the outlets. He will be giving a suggested quantity, like how much is supposed to be kept. So based on that, he'll go there, he'll check, like say you are supposed to put some, say 20 or 100 batter, and you're seeing only 20 there. That means 80 is already gone. He'll replenish it. He'll put the 80 new products there. And he'll make the e-invoice then and there, and then come out. That is called the van sales model.
So there, the app that you talked about, the Android app, does it enable video analytics of sorts to sort of scan a refrigerator, look at some of these capabilities?
See, we are going in that direction. Like it may not be video. It's like with pick itself. Technology has advanced in that level. You'll be able to understand how many quantities there, each product. That is possible. We are going towards that. It's like it's evolving, and it is expensive right now. As it goes, it will reduce that. But we want to have that facility so that the count is perfect. The salesman doesn't do any mistake, and he doesn't have to spend time on in each of these kind of activities, because he hardly gets some 3-4 minutes in an outlet.
How many stores does one seller sort of manage?
It depends upon how much. See, a lot of factors are there. The distance between the stores, the traffic area, whether it is within the congested area or outside. So it keep varying. It goes, sometimes it will be 50. If it is like a more modern trade, like RD Marts or Reliance, it will take more time to service those outlets. So there are some processes that has to be followed. So depending upon all these things, dynamically the beats are created. Okay, so it will be around like 50 to sometimes it may go up to 100.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what you also mentioned when you're describing the van is the seller actually has these products in the van, the VAN van as well, which means you have data sitting with you there as well.
Correct. And data is the biggest power ID has got. ID has got the data for all these years. And I would really appreciate the thought process that had gone to PC Mustafa, our CEO, from that time onwards, so that he captures each and every data with him. Usually when we start a business, we'll be like, initially, we'll not be capturing the data. In a normal mindset, you'll just think that, okay, once it gets into a specific level, we'll start having the systems of, IT infrastructure in place and get the data capturing everything done. He has got the data from very big.
From the beginning.
So that really helps.
I think if you don't measure, then you really don't know how you're performing itself.
Correct,
so data is the foundation for really looking at where you're progressing, how you're progressing as well, right?
Yeah.
So I want to sort of switch gear a little bit, Anis. From HP as a UX developer and designer to, which is a structured company, structured processes and org structures, you join ID, which is a startup, which is going through a journey. I'm thinking there will be a lot, practically every day is a new journey and you discover new things.
Yeah.
First of all, as a tech architect who moved from a structured company to a startup, what are some things that you experienced?
Wow, that journey was really amazing. When I moved out of my previous company, after HP, I had moved to GE and a few other.
You also worked at GE?
Yeah. And I was with Verifone for almost like 10 plus years. Then when I thought of moving to a different company, I had this dilemma, whether I have to join a tech company, the same field, or when PC offered me, I was always like inspired by his features, and I was the user of ID products. And when he came to me asking whether I'll be interested in joining that kind of role in ID, I was in dilemma. Like, see, when I checked with some of my, relatives, of course, they were thinking, what you have to do? You're a software guy. What do you have to do in an Italy company? That kind of question came. My friends used to make fun of me after I joined there. They will be like in the railway station selling idlis, like that. But
my grandmother used to say when I joined HP, what will you do in a petrol company?
yeah, right. So that is one side of it. But I thought, like, see, I thought this is a very great opportunity which will not always come to you. To switching from IT or software company to an FMCG business at almost like 18 years of experience, it is not always available. So I thought I'll grab it. And I'll use my software technology skills and go there, learn about FMCG. It was like, I believe that was one of the best decisions I took in my life. So each day is very challenging, very, you have a lot of new things to learn. Still, it is like every day there is something new to learn. The perspective that we had as a software engineer and working only in software engineer, that has totally changed when I moved to here and I had to come up with the products. The thought process, like the way you think, is always like a software engineer, which is like structured. Nobody will do a mistake. Logical things. These are the use cases. Those use cases are nothing when it really comes to the field. So I was like, initially I was like, I have to educate these people to do like this, to do like that. But that will never stop because that is how it works. So each market, you have to understand the market properly. There are a lot of inconsistencies there. You have to accept it. And you have to come up with a product which will accept it. Like, see, predictive analytics. The initial phases, see, when you do a predictive analytics and you suggest that this is the quantity that has to be kept there, what we usually do is we'll restrict. You won't let the person to do beyond that lower and upper limit. But there will be a situation wherein he has to put more items there. Might be there is somebody would have come to that Kirana store and told that tomorrow I got a lot of guests, please get some 20 extra packets of this particular item. This he will know only when he goes there.
What you're saying is, as an architect or a technology guy, irrespective of whether you're designing the architecture of the organizations from a technology point of view, or you're developing a small stub within that whole journey, it's very important to be connected with the business and the field pulse.
Yes.
Don't drive it from a technology pulse, but from the field pulse.
Yes. And to add to it, see, when we thought of some transformation with respect to the applications that we used, I and some of my colleagues, we went to the market along with the van. We saw how they are handling the stuff, how much time they are taking. We spent almost like 2 to 3 weeks with them. Then only we came up with the replacement applications. So that is very much required. You need to know the pulse of the end user. You cannot assume the things. When there are hierarchies, like a product team coming up with the product requirement, then the architect building it, the high-level designing is done by some tech leads, then it is given to the software engineer. He develops it based on his thoughts. So at the end, you would have seen a lot of cartoons, what the customer
Elephant
needs,
versus...
Yes, and what is being provided, right? So it is almost like that what happens in that kind of situation. You need to be connected with the end users and understand the requirement. If you directly get it from them, then the product will be more.
How did you go through that transformation? Because you came from the other world, where requirements are handed to you, including expected criterias, quality criterias, and release criterias, etc. To this, where you're defining the requirements, you're figuring out the pulse, and thereby then innovating on what's the right solution. How did you go through that change?
When we were like in HP, we were like junior people. So the requirements were given to us. And there, again, one more thing is we were in product-based company. So still there is difference than a services company. Because we are creating the demand. We are providing the product and with some features and making the users to use it, adapt to it. So that was not that big deal. But in services company, surely they will face this kind of issues. And that's why all this new like Scrum, based agile technology and all came into practice. We had to move out of the waterfall model. What is the problem with waterfall model? This is the problem, because the requirements given
Change.
and yeah, it will be changing because customer doesn't know what he actually required, and the people think that okay, they think that this is the requirement that they need, and unless they see a prototype, they won't be able to visualize what is this matching with what I needed. So when the agile came in, obviously we are giving the sprint, like 2 weeks sprint, 3 weeks sprint. We are giving a prototype. So we know the feedback faster, and what we lose in case it is not at all matching is those 2-3 weeks. Otherwise, it was like years altogether was
Gone
wasted.
into it, yeah.
Like out of the softwares developed during those time, especially almost like 60% was
Not used. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one research which said about 80% of your phone features, for example, is not used. So you as a developer, you as a technologist should know what is being used,
Exactly,
what is
yeah.
being consumed.
Yes,
And
this is the difference now.
Yes.
Now you are directly getting the requirement from the end customer, and all the stakeholders. You are discussing with all the sales stakeholders, like with the sales team. We discuss with them like how their life can be made easier. They are the people who gets the money to the company. So that we discuss, and then we come up with the requirement and the architecture or the high level design.
so one thing that intrigues me here, Anis, is when ID started and started scaling, there weren't many companies of that kind, right? So for a business, of course, it's a new journey. For a technology landscape also, it's a new journey because it's not as simple as, oh, this company is using this ERP solution or this CRM solution, let me just lift it. It's not, because it's perishable goods.
Correct.
It's got a lifespan. It's dead after some time.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as, oh, this is the in thing in technology, let me just pick that. You need to sort of draw influences from parallel worlds, from across the world,
Yeah.
to really identify what will really work for you. It probably also involves conversations with some of these folks who've actually implemented it elsewhere. Was that something that you also went through as a journey, or?
Yeah, I'll tell you. There are two parts for it. When you say technology, it may not be software technology. It is like manufacturing side also. There are a lot of technologies. And there is no one in this. See, we have only that normal, like initially people used manually and grinded the things. Then those like the same
The
grinding.
Coimbatore grinders.
Yeah, grinding
Wet
with
grinders.
with like rotation. The
Correct.
base was rotating.
Correct.
And this still, and it used to wet grind. Then there were like two stones.
Correct.
It is wet grinding. From there, this idea also had gone through all these phases. As the business grew, the people behind that, they had thought enough and come up with a custom built application. There's no applications like this. They had to travel across the world, find out similar kind of products which has been used in those countries and all, and get the components from different places and then get it done, assemble it in locally. So that, with respect to that manufacturing side, that has gone through a lot. And I really, you should visit our factory once.
I'd love
It
to.
is state-of-art factory. The hygiene factor.
Kondupoa?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah,
Totally love to.
Yeah, it is awesome. yeah.
Yeah, we'll have 1+1.
And you know what, like, see, we are going live. We are planning to go live of our factory in internet as well.
Oh, very
Yes,
cool.
because we don't have
It's about
anything to hide.
trust. It's about trust,
Yes,
right?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. We believe a lot in trust.
Yes.
That brings me a story like which happened during the pandemic, the trust part. So, see, initial time, it was total lockdown. Okay, but people have to have food.
Yeah.
So when this lockdown was imposed, we had a CEO call for a leadership meeting. The discussion was, should we shut down till the pandemic settled down, or should we continue our business, which is very risky. Then we decided that people need food. We have to somehow
Figure
risk
this out.
ourselves and get the things delivered. And we had a lot of measures to be safety measures had to be taken, because the people who work for us, they should not be exposed to any of those areas. So we had to get them within our facility, make them stay there, and uh, produce it. And this salesmen, they're going to the places and delivering. They also should not be like affected with it. So we have to take utmost care for that. And our software also should be capable of doing this dynamic beat creation, because one day one
It's
route
changing
might be-
drastically
yeah,
every day. Government policies were
they
changing. Yeah.
close each route. So
Yeah.
based on that, it has to be done. And the analytics part of it, that also has to be changed, because it is totally different data that has to be considered now.
Correct.
Now, this is one part. Like we came up with, okay, like a store finder feature in no time, so that people will be able to know like if which store has the product available. We are daily delivering. Whenever it is delivered, they go to the net. They will find out closer to that area where and all what and all product is available. Even they can go and subscribe to it. So when the delivery happens, they get a notification. Only then they need to go out and fetch the items. And there were places wherein even stores were not available. Residential complexes, which is slightly not,
Far off.
Yeah, far off. And they also need the food. And restaurants are all closed. Now we thought how to handle it. We thought we'll trust the customers. We'll just have the product delivered in their gate and put a dabba there. It's not a vending machine or anything like that. Let the people take the product from there, put the money there.
How much ever they
How
feel
much
like.
ever they feel like. And you trust me, there were, like, not even a single penny was less. See, sometimes we have seen that it is less, but next day it will be more, because might be people didn't have a change or something like that, and they put more as well. So when you trust the people, no, trust factor is not gone, not vanished. You trust them, they will trust you.
Trust builds the value of the process itself,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think, Anis, one question I also want to ask you is, as an engineer who's come from a structured world to the startup, and I believe now it's much more structured as well. Gone are the days where we say startup, it's just chaotic and all that stuff. I think there's a lot when you start scaling, there needs to be structure. If you were to advise younger techies or a 25-year-old younger Anis on entering a tech world and growing in a tech space, not as a manager, but as a technologist, what are some things that you would advise?
See, I'll tell you from my life itself.
Absolutely.
See, always you should be up to date.
With what all?
Sorry?
With what all?
Like, see, with respect to technology,
Right.
see, anything happening in the world, you should not be limited to what you are doing. Say, in HP, if you are in HP, you should not be just knowing about printers and stuff. There are other things which can influence the printer, and there are other stuff where you may get into. So you need to know the whole world, where the world is going towards. You need to be connected, have a good networking with other people of same thing or same tech. People working with the same technology or different. Wherever possible, wherever networking is possible, go there. Try to make the networking. Understand wherever there is some webinars or conferences and all happening, you may feel that it is not related to your current path or current technology. Go there. Understand what is happening in the world. That will really help you, and never be in a comfortable stage like that frog in the warm water, right?
Yeah.
You will not know when you'll die there. You should step out of it.
Rediscover yourself.
Yes, rediscover yourself. I do see one of problem for me or anybody in that industry is like you are always busy. You don't have time. That is just I would say it is just a thought like you are busy. If you have, it is just prioritization that matters. That same person, if you get married, you have time to spend with your spouse. When you get kids, you will have time.
You'll
to
make
spend.
time.
You make time. Same way, you have to find time to upgrade yourself. upskill yourself. What I always tell is you should at least reserve like 5 to 10% based on your, at least 5% of your earnings for your further studies. I kept myself upgrading or updating by getting into some courses, paying them fees, so that I know that I have spent money and I will get into a structured learning.
Because
now
you've
also-
spent the money. Because it's your money that has
Yes,
gone in, and
yes.
thereby there's a
Yes.
personal investment from your
Yes.
end.
And that you have to spend from your pocket. Then only you will get that dedication. If company is sponsoring, still it will become a little bit less. If you are spending from your own pocket, you will have that dedication. You will learn. You'll be forced to learn. I kept myself upgrading. Like I did various courses. Like I did my MS while I was in HP. I took my PMP while I was in Verifone. Now I am doing my MBA from IIM. So that is while in ID. So I keep upgrading myself. So that is very much required.
And from a culture perspective, because you've gone through that massive transformation culturally as well, is there a mindset difference? How does one fit into? Because one of the things is unlearning what you've gone through culturally in one of these other organizations and really fitting into the new culture of a new organization. Are there tips of trade there?
Yeah, you see, when you decide for such a shift, you have to have your mindset changed there itself. Because, see, even if in a technology space itself, if it is a startup, there will be a lot of differences. We have been only working in MNCs with a different culture, wherein the stakeholder is not your manager, right? So always the money doesn't matter really for them. It is all spending. They won't really worry about the money. So that culture to a startup, when it goes to startup, you are part of that business. You have to be worrying about each spend that you yourself do, not that somebody is coming and controlling you. So that mindset change has to happen. And as it goes, you will be accustomed to it. There will be a shock, cultural shock, of course, like especially when you move from software industry to any other industry. But then you change. There are a lot of very good part of it which you adopt.
Anisa, one of the things you mentioned is networking. And I think this is something I realized very late in my career. I think the early years, and most women, I don't know if I can generalize with men as well, but most women are very comfortable in the role that we're playing, and we don't spend so much time in networking. But it's through networking you sort of also find, not just in terms of reading and attending webinars and things like that. It's through networking you find how are others using some technologies, what's happening in that industry. And it's very important to sort of network beyond your current circle or your industry. How did you go about? Was that a planned way you went through?
See, one thing which helped me is I am a kind of person who like to socialize with people. So always wherever there was an opportunity, I used to
Take it up.
And you let it be. Okay, I'll tell you one good thing. Like, see, I was part of a lot of NGOs.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there, see, when you go there,
That is on a personal front.
But that also will help you in your career path as well. See, even I met Mr. PC Mustafa in one of those NGOs. I've met a lot of people. Like, see, I was part of this thing, Rotary Club. I was part of various other thing. Like, see, there's something called Force GW, which is within our locality, which is the Association of Associations across all the apartment complexes in that locality. That was really a good networking platform for us, wherein you all work together. A lot of, we did a lot of stuff there for that locality to bring up that locality altogether. So you keep meeting people. When you meet, you don't just talk about the education or the society related thing. You get into various other things. There also unknowingly you will discover a lot of other things. And as part of that, and also I used to we also met while
The conferences,
right? Yes,
yeah.
So always try to utilize those kind of conferences and all. Let it be free, paid, or anything. Go and attend it. That really helps. I used to keep attending, and I used to motivate my teammates also to attend.
In the beginning, you mentioned that, you've now embarked on the MBA part of it. And I know you also currently mentioned that paying from your pocket really makes you feel, it's invested and it's prioritized from you as against a company sort of just funding it sort of thing. Why the MBA? When you've covered this journey so far, and what do you see as the value prop of it?
Very good question. Very interesting question.
Would you do an MBA? Would you reflect back and say, I should have done an MBA very early on? Or when does one really look at this?
See, when you feel like doing a course is when you understand that something is lacking from you.
The base knowledge.
Yes, base knowledge. I'll tell you what actually led me to this MBA. So this, like, I was like in software industry for almost like 18 years. I was heading a division in India before moving to this in Verifone. I had teams across the globe, multicultural. We used to travel a lot. We have to manage other teams also because it's all interrelated, right? See, I was heading a terminal management related center of excellence. This was software side. It had a hardware side. It had different marketing, sales, a lot of interactions that has to be done. So I was like, okay, I know all of these. I've been working internationally. We have our customers in 160 plus countries. So all these things were in my mind. Okay, now if I go to, I'll be able to use this, all my knowledge, like management knowledge. I moved, you might be knowing, like I moved from technical ladder to management ladder. But I was in touch base with technology. I was a manager with the technology knowledge kind of person. So I was having that confidence when I came to ID. But very soon I realized that that is nothing. Okay, the way our CEO was thinking, his thought process, it was amazing. You would never think about that directions wherein he was taking to, even in technology side as well. Okay, sales, marketing, finance, or manufacturing, everything, let's forget. Even technology side, he was giving such kind of pointers. Then, like, when we started getting other CHOs on board, like business CBO, CFO, COO, like kind of people, and when we were all in a meeting, the way they were discussing and all, I was damn sure there is something really lacking in me, which I need to grab. And I understood that they all are from top B schools. So they had some structural learning, which is backing them. So I thought,
so
I
you
need
have
to get
to,
into that level. Yeah.
You felt you have to not complicate, but complement the learnings or the journey that you've had so far with foundations, which are more structured.
Yes.
So then it's like a complete self,
yes,
which will basically help you run faster, sort of understand.
Strategic thinking.
Yes.
Yes. And, you asked me like whether you would have thought like whether you took it long back. But now is the right time I can.
Having gained this experience.
Yes, because at that time I won't be knowing anything about operations. I don't know anything about manufacturing. Now I know something about all of those. So it is making me easy to relate the concepts to the real-time world.
Makes sense.
So it's really helping me. And I'm able to contribute to my fellow mates in that. And I'm getting a lot of knowledge from others of like kind of experienced people in there. So it's really helping.
Anis, thank you so much. And thank you so much. This has been a lovely conversation. And I hope anybody who's on a technology career path, and I think there's quite a lot in Bangalore, especially across India, because India is sort of becoming a startup hub, right?
Government is celebrating it.
Right. And so I hope this was useful, helpful, and thought-provoking for anybody who's heard this throughout, because I definitely can relate with everything that you spoke about, the journey, what one needs to think of as a technologist, and how does one upskill and relearn and unlearn. So thank you so much, Anish.
Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed.
I'm going to take that offer of the, the visit to your manufacturing unit. I think that would be super cool. So,
Sure. We'll keep in touch and I'll arrange for a trip. We'll go together.
done. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.